Welcome to the Sports Card Lessons podcast with me, your host, Ken. I'm a retired teacher documenting my hobby journey here on the pod, finding teachable moments to share with all of you along the way. Don't forget to hit me up on social media on Instagram at sportscard_lessons. Hit the follow button. And you can also find me on YouTube by searching Sports Card Lessons. If you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. Welcome, everybody. How is everybody doing? Getting ready this week for the 4th of July, a long weekend. I think almost everybody, most people have a long weekend. I'm sure you guys are getting ready. Maybe you're sitting on a beach right now listening to this or driving to a destination. But, 4th of July celebrations, fireworks, picnics. It's usually a great weekend just to get together with friends and family. To me, this is one of my favorite holidays because I love the summer. I love the hot weather. The hotter, the better. Um, and I think Memorial Weekend is always a hit or miss. I don't think it's ever truly really hot. I think sometimes it's cool. Most of the times it's rainy. You got to figure out the best day of that weekend. And I just feel 4th of July is really the kickoff to summer. This is where it all starts. So I'm excited for this weekend. Today's show, we're going to the Springfield show recap. Before we start, I just want to throw a shout out to Brian, who's a listener, has been listening since the beginning. I met him at the Mohegan show, and then I saw him again this past weekend in Springfield, and it was funny. We chatted a bit, and he said, "Hey, do you have?" And Brian, I'm sorry, I don't forget the player name, but I know you asked me about a football player, and I thought, like, I pretty much know all the collectible football players, and even in the past. And he asked me, I have no idea. I said, who was that? Does he even play football? And apparently he was a dominating NFL lineman. So sorry, I didn't know who it was, but he told me, like, these are the certain cards like this are the cards that he likes to PC. And he mentioned Christian Okoye. And of course, as a Chiefs fan, I knew exactly who Christian Okoye was. And I just wanted to show off. I told him I had this card, and I hope you're watching on YouTube. But I had this National Treasures auto number 2 of 5. I'm just going to hold that up for you so you just see what that looks like. One of my favorite cards. I keep it with all my other old school Chief cards that I find, and I don't go searching for them, but they seem to find me. I'll be looking for something else, and some old Len Dawson card may show up or something like that, and I'm like, oh, I should have this and put it with the rest of my old school Chiefs. So just wanted to show that off. I hope you're watching and you're able to see that one. Also, shout out to Jordan at Zip Cards. Jordan and I have been chatting. He listens to the pod. We've been chatting back and forth on Instagram, and he comes to all the shows. It's always great to see him. Always a good time. We chat, and he's one of those people that I know. He'll show up and he'll say, "Hey, this is what I have," and then he walks off in a show. And I know when I see him come back again, he's going to have something different, something new that he always makes a deal. Always makes a deal out there. I've never, walked the floor or listened to him negotiate. I know that I purchased a couple of UFC cards from him a few months ago. It was the first time we actually met a few months ago at, I think it was the New Britain show. It was a local show here in Connecticut. And at the time, he was like, I have no idea what the value of these cards are, but whatever they are, whatever you want to give me for them, just, take them. And at the time I was like, wow, that's pretty good. I can take these cards. And they ended up being cards that sat in my case that nobody wanted either. So I probably should have known then, but it was truly a fair deal he gave me for those cards. So I would never talk down about that, making that deal with him. Probably any other cards I would have profited on But I just think the kind of the bottom fell out of a lot of the UFC stuff just because there's so many fighters, and I'm not going to get into that. I've talked about it a few shows ago, but um, I do, although I do have another UFC card, and I'm going to show you that at the end of the pod here. So Springfield. So I feel that I had the best table and I had the worst table at the show. And I don't know if this table was a blessing or a curse. John from Prime Time said, "Hey, I'm taking care of you. I'm going to put you right at the front door," and I appreciate that, John. Um, and sometimes it's great because you're the first person people see when they come in, and you think you would get a lot of sales done. And I don't think there were a lot of sales being made. So a lot of people came in. Hey, I was their first kind of a barometer on pricing on football because I have a lot of football. Um, and they said, okay, we're going to take a walk around and we'll be back. And, some people came back, a lot of them didn't. So I don't know if they ended up purchasing somewhere else or they just never purchased at all. So it was kind of a blessing and a curse for that table. But it was nice to be able to hang my banner out there for the Sports Card Lessons podcast, and hopefully a lot of you that picked up my cards and I talked to that you're listening this week. You're becoming new listeners. Springfield, a lot like Mohegan, slow and steady, and I'm going to add no cash. Um, and if you asked, it's not my opinion. I've chatted with a lot of people and a lot of the dealers, and it was just amazing that people came in and they're like, "Oh wow, I really like that card," and they're negotiating on a price, and then all of a sudden they pull out, okay, well these 4 cards equal this comp, and that's what you're asking for it. So do you want to trade? And no, no, I do not want to take 4 lower end cards and trade into a bigger card. That's not the lane I'm in, especially not as a dealer. Um, Not unless you're giving me, some Mac Jones autos or things like that, which I think Mac was really pretty popular because I have a ton of Mac Jones in my case and did not sell one Mac Jones card. And some of them were right at comps, but I just think people were not spending money. There was lots of football there that were above comps. On some of the stuff, I was above comps too. But some of the stuff, like I talked about last week, I was right at comps, and people said, "Well, that's a really fair price." It's definitely a fair price. It's definitely at comps. And a couple of them, we talked a little bit, and I would have come down $100, maybe $100 under comps on 1 or 2 of the cards that were there. But still, people just didn't have the cash. They said, "Look, I have these cards. I know you're not interested in them. Let me work the floor, see if I can sell them and come back with cash and buy it." So I think because I'm not going to say it's the economy. I'm not going to say the cash is not there for the economy. And what I'm thinking, and what a lot of people are saying, there's a lot of buzz around national. Everyone talking around about national. People saving their money for national, um, and only looking to trade up lower end cards to higher end cards to take to national. So there was a lot of national talk this weekend. Probably everyone I've talked to, national came out of their mouth, dealers and people coming to the table, whether people were buying or trying to trade up to get cars to go to national, or dealers just talking about, because national is in Atlantic City, it's so close to the Northeast that a lot of people are going to attend. They're going to drive there. So the people that are going to these shows, they're trying to save up. They're expect. Now, I've never been in national. We've talked about this, but I know, like, I hear people talking about it, like it's a new year, like it's the before national and after national, this is it, the new year of the sports cards, right? You out with the old, in with the new. I mean, I'm not. It's just I'm excited. I mean, I'm completely excited just to be a part of it this year. The way people are talking about it. A funny story. the first show I set up at, um, in Enfield, which I think was back in October. Um, and I was set up at the show. It was my very first show, and I've got cards in my case. And the person to the right of me was talking to, one of the attendees at the show, and I was, listening to the conversation, and he said, "Oh, where are you from?" And he said, "Cheshire," and I live in Cheshire. So I said to him, "Really?" I said, "I live in Cheshire." He looks at me and goes, "Oh." I said, "Where do you?" He asked me, "Where do you live?" And I said, "Off this particular road." I said, "How about you?" He goes, "I live on that road." I'm like, "You're kidding me." So I had a neighbor in my neighborhood that I had just met. I probably I walk every single day, and it's my routine. I walk the whole neighborhood, and I literally pass by his house every day. So we've become friends in the neighborhood, and I would see him faithfully at every show. I'm just going to give him a shout out, the Cardboard Collaborative. Um, and I recently saw him saying, "Hey, you going to Mohegan? Are you going to Springfield?" And he just said no. He said, I'm getting ready for national. I'm saving up, getting ready, just planning this big trip to go down the national and make some deals, and very excited about that. So I understand that. I think just a lot of people, that's their mindset right now. So I would just think I would think that is affecting the hobby in this area more than anything else. Now, I know comps are fluctuating and comps have been down, but from talking to most people, when football ends, the comps drop down, and by the time national comes, the prices come up again. Now they talk about market correcting. Um, how much of the price is going to come up again? Are people going to be stuck holding cards that they paid way too much for, and now what market correction? It's never going to come back to that. I'm not sure, but I think what's affecting the card shows in this area right now, this month, and probably at the beginning of next month, is just the buzz around national, and people um, getting ready to go there. And like I said, it's within driving distance. So even if, I mean, it's kind of, for us, it's I think it's a 4-hour drive, but I know most people are staying. They're staying over one night, 2 nights. Some of the people I know are there the whole time, Wednesday to Sunday. So and just being part of it, not setting up, just being part of it. Um, the other thing I was thinking too, and just a note I made here is, and it's really about know the show, right? What I'm talking about, know the show, and I'm just wondering if national was in Chicago or somewhere else this year, not in driving distance. Would these shows be the same? Would the shows would this have the same effect on the shows if national wasn't driving distance, where it's available to all the people here in the Northeast? And I hear people talking about, coming in from, it's not easy to fly in from other parts of the country to get there. And I've been listening to, other podcasts and things on the radio, and people just talking about just not being easy to get there from other places. But here from the Northeast, it's all within driving distance. Um, so yeah, again, know the show, right? Just what I talked about last week, getting to know the show. So I'll set these last couple of shows. I'm taking notes. So next year, when we get into these same shows again, I'll have a better idea. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to need at least a 2-year or 3-year to really know exactly the shows. But I think I know what's coming, and I'm getting to these shows, and I don't know what's coming, and that's just part of me being new. Doing these shows. This is my first year in setting up and doing these shows, and I think in my mind I know what to expect. Like I'm saying, I know exactly what to expect. This is what it's going to be. This is what we're going to do, and I get there and it's not. And I said, okay. So again, you got to know the show, and I don't know the show, so I'm doing the best I can at this show. Um, I did not sell I have lower end boxes, the 3, 5, $10 cards, the football cards that come out that they're either short print, things like that, uh, could be like silver prisms or if not quarterbacks. And, I have a lot of these cards in boxes and I have them priced correctly. I mean, absolutely. Most of the time, if I look up a comp and it's like $4 or $5, I'll put a $3 sticker on it. If it's $7, $8, I'll put a $5 sticker on it. I mean, I would rather be under, make people happy so they don't need to negotiate because they're going to do the same thing as pull their phone out. And people went through these boxes. I have wrestling cards out there. I sold 0 cards out of those boxes this weekend, and I usually sell, a decent amount of cards out of those boxes, and I'm always adding to them. When I get into break, I'm doing breaks and things like that. I'm always being sent all the cards that come out of the break, and whatever I think's got any value to it, I penny sleeve it, and I throw it in the box. And I usually sell those cards. There's always people who are looking for something in those cards. I sold not one of those cards out of any of those boxes this weekend. The only thing I sold were cards out of my case. And I didn't sell many of those, just a few of those. We talk about having higher end cards or higher end stuff. It doesn't take much to make your money back for the day, for what it costs you to get there. Going to throw a shout out. So I really have to talk about this because I thought it was really funny. I had a customer, shout him out, Blaze, at Just Blaze Cards, Blaize cards. He came to the table. He wanted some soccer cards. He was very, very interested in my Kai Havertz stained glass card. So we negotiated back and forth. He felt I was high on the card. He said, I'm going to walk around. I'm going to come back. I said, okay. So then he came back a second time. He looked at the cards and he talked about the price, and he wanted to pull some comps up. And it was interesting on that card because one sold at 1,200, one sold at 940, and then one sold at like 230. And he wanted to be in the $200 range. And, I just wasn't going that low. This is a card I pulled, but there's a lot of value to that card. At that price, I would just as soon send it out, grade it, and put it on my shelf. Because to me, I thought that would be giving it away. Then he wanted to put a package deal. I had some other cards that I had pulled out that I showed a few weeks ago that I pulled out of those mosaic box, hobby box from Panini, the hot box. And we talked and he left again. And then he came back and then he said, look, one of these Havertz is going to be ending soon on eBay. And then I figured out, when I looked it up, he was stalling because he was bidding on this card on eBay during the show. So I was watching the same thing, just kept looking at it because I wanted to see where the price went. And the card went to 168 with about 15 or 20 seconds to go. It was at $168. And then the card was pulled. It was pulled out. I guess it was pulled down. I'm really not sure how that happened. But when he came back, he explained to me what happened. He said, yeah, they just pulled the card. So they weren't even going to let it go for that cheap. But it was interesting, first time for everything, that I had somebody bidding on eBay for the identical card that I had in my case, and it was ending while he was at the show. And he was literally bidding on that first. And if he didn't get it, he would have come back. We ended up making a deal. He bought a few cars from me, and I pulled those cards. So I felt that I put a package together for him, and I added an extra card over the top of really that I really didn't need to, but I did just because I felt we put a lot of work into coming up with a deal. I think I gave him a good deal. I got out of it what I wanted to get out of it, and I left some meat on the bone for him. If he wanted to take those, he literally could probably keep 2 cards and sell 2 cards at comps, and he'd be in good shape. So, I think I put a great package together for him, and I think he was happy. He was happy. I was happy to make the deal. It made sense for both of us. So, that'll be probably when he goes home and says, "Hey, I got all these cards for a great deal." And people are like, "Oh my God, what a great deal you made." And I talk about who got the better of the deal. I pulled these cards. These cards owed me nothing. The box I pulled these cards cost $200, $199 from Panini, and the deal we made was for more than that. So I think it was a win-win for both of us. I made another deal, a late deal. Gotta love those late deals. You're getting to the end of the day, you're like, oh, do I stay? Do I pack up? You see people packing up. Um, a lot of people always talk about, oh, I was going to pack up and I stayed and I made a last great deal and it changed my whole day. And I talked to a few dealers about this and they'll say the same thing. Some dealers say without that deal, I'd have been driving home saying, man, this show was terrible. It stank. I couldn't get it. Nothing happened. And all of a sudden you make one great deal at the end. You're driving home, you're whistling, you got the radio on, say, yeah, I did great. This show was good. I'll do this show again. So sometimes a late deal could change your whole outlook on a show as a dealer. And another dealer, Chuck, he was interested he came by early. He was interested in some baseball cards. So I said, I'll come by. I'll look at your, see what you got. I'll come by and take a look in your cases. And he did have a really nice, it was a Justin Herbert. It was a rookie year. It was a gold jumbo patch numbered to 15. And it was a good looking card. It wasn't graded, but it was a really good looking card. And, I asked, what's your price on that? And he said, 1,500. And I said, okay. I said, we'll come back. I was solo. I had to keep an eye on my table. I said, we'll come back and talk. So a couple of times I had a break. I walked over, the card was in the case and he was kind of busy. So I walked back, kept going back and forth. Then I got busy and ended up being late in the day. So I went over and I brought the baseball cards over. He was interested. And I said, well, let's make a deal. Let's make a deal for this card. And I put them down and he said, yeah, he said, I got this guy here who wants to look at the card. He said, let me just deal with him and, we'll move on. And all of a sudden, when he took that card out of the case, it was attracting like moths to the flame, right? And next thing you know, there were like 4 people wanting them to talk to about this card. And then they were lined up to talk to him about it. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, we're never going to get this deal done. So then he never made a deal with anybody. So I went over to him and I started talking to him. I said, I can't believe you still have this card. And I said, look, here are my cards. How much cash do you need over the top of these cards, to get that Justin Herbert card? So as he was negotiating with me, another kid standing there says, look, I can make it easy for both of you. He said, Chuck, I'll give you 1,500 cash right now for the Herbert card. And he looked at him, he looked at me. I said, well, go ahead. I mean, how could you not do that deal? I mean, I'm not going to be mad. I'm a dealer. If somebody walked up and said, you're going to pay me full price cash, how could you not make that deal? So I said, let me know how it works out, Chuck. And I walked back over and then he waved me back over after they made the deal with the guy. The guy took the card. He came back and we had talked about some prices on the cards. And he said, I'd like to buy those cards from you. And I said, okay. I said, he made me an offer that was way more than I thought I would ever going to get for these cards. I've carried these cards since Hofstra. In my mind, they were stale, dead weight cards, but the baseball season is still going. There were no big names in those cards, but there were names of people who had great potential in those cards. So he picked them out. He made me an offer. I happily accepted. It was a late day sale for me, and I went home happy. I went home, very happy that I got rid of those cards. And I know there was a lot of people that didn't make any late deals and they didn't have many sales. and they weren't happy about the show. And as I was packing up, even though, and you know, when something good comes to somebody in a crowd of people that are a little envious, right? All of a sudden, that person gets an extra bounce in their step, and they get a little bit more chatty and things like that. Um, and other people become very envious of that. And I kind of sat back and I'm watching people talk, and people are saying, "Oh, yeah, I made some good deals. I sold this car." And other people who didn't have those deals are like, "Yeah, great. I don't need to hear it. I'm not going to stand here and listen to it because I had a crappy day and I'm just packing my stuff up and I want to get out of here." And I thought to myself at the time, I mean, luckily this is not my day job, and I would find it. Uh, I think I would find it to be very frustrating if this was my day job. And I know people do this for a living. I know they do it for a living. I know I couldn't do it for a living because then I wouldn't enjoy it as much as I do not doing it for a living. I can go to these shows. I could sell nothing, zero, not one card. And I would go home on my way home thinking about what content I could use here on the pod. What were the lessons learned? And that would be my thought process. I would not be upset. I would not be I would if I didn't sell any cards. Um, and I know a lot of people there do, and I kind of feel bad for them when we hit shows like this, when we go to shows like this and there's no money to be made and no one wants to make a trade and people feel like they've lost money on the day because it cost them to, get there and set up. So, um, to them, I just hope that, the market turns and, sales are up for them. Um, but for me, uh, I'm glad that I don't rely on this to make a living. And it was one of those kind of, I'm not going to say an aha moment, but one of those thoughts that at the end of the day, just as I packed up and I was ready to go and I kind of looked around and I was listening to the people talk, because I really like to hear what other people say about the shows, about how they felt, how they did at the shows, because I know some people did very well. They made some trades and made some sales and they were happy what happened. I think people sold a lot of wax. There was a lot of people carrying, boxes of wax around. And I think, the Prism football being so hard to get right now and so overpriced. I mean, just so overpriced on Marketplace and eBay and even at these shows. One of the benefits when you're there and you set up early and being a dealer is, if they say setup starts at 6, I'm there at 6:15. I don't care if the show starts at 9 or 11. I'm going to be there at 6:15 because I want to see some of the stuff. I like to open boxes, and a lot of the times I'll walk around, and if I know kind of what I'd like to open up and I see people have, boxes out. I mean, there's always people that are going to be underpriced to somebody else. And luckily enough, it was the guy right behind me who had hanger boxes for $39, and he had blaster box for $45. Um, and I'll talk about that in a minute because I did buy some boxes immediately and just put them away. And during the day when things slowed up, it gave me something to do. I opened them up. Um, Kept me happy during the day, kept me busy. Uh, so my lesson this week is I'm still trying to fix past mistakes in the hobby. I'm still trying to move cards that have value, but only to the right people. And what I'm doing this week is, just getting outside of my own comfort zone this week, and I've figured out how to make a story sale, and I figured out just how to put cards up there on Instagram that I can get prices up there, and I'm just advertising the heck out of these cards. Um, because I bring them to the shows and people aren't interested, but they're good cards. And uh, there's a Walter Payton downtown SGC, I think it's 9.5. There's a Russell Wilson Vortex Lava number 2 to 10. SGC 10. Um, they're great cards if to the right person. And I just think in this area and the shows I set up, I don't think there's many Walter Payton fans. There's not many Russell Wilson fans, and there's a number of other cards. But I think it's the area that I'm setting up. That they're not Patriots and they're not Jets and they're not Giants and they're not Eagles or Dallas. And I think these are the what people want, and these are who people PC are the teams that they love, right? So I think if I could get some of these cards in front of a Chicago Bear fan or a Seattle Seahawks slash wherever Russell Wilson is going now. I don't know why I can't think of where he's going. To Denver, right? Denver. I know he's in the AFC West with my Chiefs, but anyways, if I could put these cards in front of the people that would be interested in, I think they would sell very quickly. So I haven't really done any selling on Instagram. I've done very little on Facebook. So this week, out of my comfort zone, I'm just getting out there. I'm going to put those cards out there, and I'm just going to communicate with people and see. Hopefully, I could find a new home for some of these cards, and I'm still gonna bring them. I always list them, under comps, and always hope at every show I'm going to get somebody that's going to come want them. Um, a lot of times, I had another pile of these cards that I say a pile of these cards, just some of these cards that when I was at Probstein show, the Autograph Fest, that somebody had come around that makes the packs of cards, the mystery packs, and bought like 6 or 7 cards from me, and I was happy to sell those off. And I think maybe because they're SGC too. Maybe if they were PSA or BGS, they'd be a little bit more. People would want them a little more if they were PSA or BGS. Maybe it could be the SGC that people are down on as well. But hey, they're great cards, and I hope to sell them. My pickups this week. So I talked earlier about hockey and Trevor Zegras. I bought a bunch of hobby boxes. I have 11 Young Guns of Trevor Zegras, and I have 0 Cole Caulfield. For whatever reason, I've never been able to pull him out of any of the boxes. So I did pick up one at a very good price. Now that hockey's over, less than half of what it was selling for, a month or two ago. So this is the Cole Caulfield Young Guns card. Holding that up if you're on YouTube. It was just a great card. Happy to have it, and probably end up picking a few more up at some point. Because I just think these two, Zegras and Caulfield, those cards are going to be worth something down the road. Two really talented hockey players. I purchased, like I said earlier, I purchased some Prism hangers. I purchased 4 Prism hangers and a Prism blaster. While I was at the show, and I was surprised of all the cards I got out of these. So I'll start with the actual prisms themselves. The best card I think was this Trevor Lawrence silver prism, and I'm holding that up, and it's the variation. You see, it's in a 1-touch, and that one card paid for my purchases of the hangers and the blaster. And that card came out of a blaster, and I know people are always saying, hangers are bangers, right? And with my past experience, hangers were crap, right? They would just put some crap cards in there, price it down, but I'll tell you what, since Mosaic and now my first hangers opening up are these Prism, and I've gotten some great cards. So these are all also silver prisms. This is the Ian book. I'll hold that up. Kellen Mond, Zach Wilson, and I got this Jamar Chase green prism, which was nice. And as far as the base cards, uh, 2 Kyle Trask, Trevor Lawrence, and a Trey Lance. So, yeah, definitely got my money's worth out of these, and I was very surprised. And people said, "Buy hangers, buy hangers." So I said, "Okay, that's what I'm going to do this time. I'm going to do what the people say, right? I'm going to buy the hangers and see what happens." And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I definitely got all my money back out. I won't sell them anytime soon because all these rookies will just go into my rookie box, and hopefully. Actually, they're going to go down to JA Sports first to see if they could be see if they should be graded. If it's the recommendation of Josh to be graded down at ja.sports.cards, and it's JA Sports. Talk about Alan down there. And speaking of that, we talked about at the end last week that I had fought my first submission. And again, I go down there. Josh looks at him, gives me a recommendation, and I ended up submitting 5 and getting 5 10s back. So I'll start with the Mac Jones. It's a rookie wave. Mac Jones. And that has a pop count, I think, of 12. And it's the blue rookie wave. This is Christian Pulisic. It's optic purple velocity. And this is numbered to... Is this number 2? 99. So this is a pop 2. This is a Harry Kane, optic purple velocity, PSA 10, numbered to 99. This is a pop 1. This was kind of a cool card as a 2019 Topps WWE Undisputed Ronda Rousey Blue, numbered to 25. This is also a pop 1. And the last card was a UFC card. And the funny thing was I had opened up a box of... Actually, I went to a retail store and they had just had been putting out boxes of cards. They were stocking the shelves, and this is going back a few months. And they had no football, but they had UFC, and they put a few boxes out there. And I said, well, I'm just going to grab the boxes. It'll give me something to open up. And at that time, I was still kind of, looking for some gems in UFC. So I grabbed the boxes and I opened them up, and I came up with a bunch of rookies, but I didn't know them. But I know my guy Harvey at Moki Cards on Instagram. I chatted with him, and he said, "Hey, this Jack Shore, this pink Pulsar, number to 42." He said he's a really good rookie. He said if that card is gradable, I would grade it. So I sent it off, and it came back PSA 10. So, and that's also a pop 1 of a rookie. So who knows? I believe he is 16-0, and he is fighting on his next fight is July 16th. So I guess that'll just be one to hang on to for now and hope for the best. But I know the raw cards of him were selling for like 150. These cards were selling for like $150. So there's really no comp for a PSA 10 that's a pop 1. So I'm really not sure how to price it. So I'll just kind of wait and see what happens with him. So upcoming, I just heard from Laz, so I am going to be doing the show in New Jersey on July 16th. and I'll have more information on that next week where I'll be, because I know I have some listeners down that area that I've been seeing at the last shows that I haven't been to in a while. So I'm looking forward to seeing them when I get down there. So I'll get all that information out. And then National is July 28th to the 31st. So we do have a table number. So the table number is 529 or 628. And by looking at the map, um, it's a booth that's at the end of a row. So on one row, it's table number 529, and on the other row, on the opposite side, it's 628, and it's right by the front door of National. I'm not sure exactly what table I'm on yet, but um, I will have that information soon, and I will pass it along. And I'm hoping, everyone who goes to National is going to come by and check me out, say hello, and hopefully we'll meet up at trade nights. My plan for National right now is to bring my equipment and to do a daily recap. So I'm there setting up as a dealer Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So that week I'll put out 3 Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just a daily recap. And then Saturday, I am a spectator. Saturday, I will be walking the floor all day Saturday. So that recap from there will come in the following week's show. So that week of National, I will put out 3 videos: Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, just a recap of how the days have gone there and how exciting they've been. So that's it for this week. Wishing everybody a happy 4th of July, Independence Day. Hope you have a great long weekend. The weather looks like it's going to hold up. Looks like, actually, I should say here in the Northeast, here in Connecticut, it looks like it's going to be hot and sunny. I know Friday, the day this drops, we may hit triple digits, over 100. So, yeah, it should be a nice hot weekend. So I hope everybody enjoys it. And we'll be back here next week. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. And until next time, be good to yourselves and everyone around you.